Hello, chosen one. They searched the frequencies of billions of minds in the darkness of the collective unconscious, sweeping through the digital and spiritual ether like a lighthouse beam across a jagged, treacherous coastline. And they stopped the exact moment they found yours. They did not stumble upon you by accident. They did not gravitate toward you by mere coincidence. You were mathematically pinpointed. This is not motivation. This is a warning. And more importantly, this is the psychological revelation you have been anticipating your entire terrestrial existence. The profound, unshakable shifting you are experiencing right now, the sudden, inexplicable isolation, the strange vibrating frequency humming in your immediate reality, the terrifying yet exhilarating sensation that you are currently standing upon the absolute edge of an existential precipice, is not clinical anxiety or psychological deterioration. It is the literal, audible sound of the oppressive, invisible infrastructure meticulously built to contain your consciousness finally collapsing under the staggering weight of your own multidimensional evolution. If you have ever felt like an ancient, stranded traveler dropped into a profoundly hostile, alien environment without a navigational manual, surrounded exclusively by unconscious inhabitants who communicate using an intricate language of deception you fundamentally cannot understand, I need you to execute a critical action immediately. Subscribe to this channel right now. This specific space does not function merely as a conventional digital broadcast. It operates as a highly encrypted, impenetrable sanctuary for the anomalies. You will absolutely require this grounded anchor for the catastrophic storms of undeniable truth that are rapidly preparing to make their final landfall within your localized timeline. Do not scroll away, because everything you thought was a curse was actually a highly sophisticated spiritual operation. The entities that deliberately targeted you, the narcissists, the jealous onlookers, the energy vampires, and the systemic orchestrators of your suffering, operate exclusively on a strict, unyielding frequency of absolute deficit. They function as the desperate, ravenous scavengers of the broader spiritual ecosystem. They fundamentally do not possess their own internal energetic generator. They are profoundly empty vessels, hopelessly hollowed out by their own unhealed, festering trauma and insurmountable generational karmic debt. They spend their waking hours constantly, frantically scanning their immediate environments for a sustainable power source to covertly siphon. When their predatory instruments finally locked onto your specific coordinates, they absolutely did not see a vulnerable, easily manipulable victim. They saw an infinite, blindingly radiant well of primordial life force. They identified a biological and spiritual anomaly inherently capable of effortlessly transmuting suffocating despair into blinding hope and impenetrable darkness into incandescent light. They recognized your boundless, unfiltered empathy not as a commendable virtue, but as a highly exploitable, fatal vulnerability within your psychological perimeter. The vitriolic jealousy they harbored deep within their decaying spirits was never truly about your material possessions, your physical appearance, your professional accomplishments, or your societal status. Those are merely superficial, insignificant metrics utilized by the sleeping collective. Their visceral, consuming envy was deeply rooted in a profound, agonizing recognition of your uncorruptible core essence. They vehemently hated you because you flawlessly possess the one singular element they could never artificially replicate, financially purchase, or deceitfully steal: an indestructible, untarnished connection to the divine source. To access your formidable power, they meticulously mirrored your personality, stealthily infiltrated your most trusted inner circles, and comfortably wore fabricated masks flawlessly crafted from your own deepest desires, all to covertly gain administrative access to your energetic grid. But what they catastrophically failed to calculate when they maliciously latched their parasitic, draining cords onto your beautiful spirit was the terrifying, crushing density of your inherent light. I will definitively reveal exactly why their covert extraction was essentially their own agonizing death sentence, and precisely why the precious energy they successfully stole from you is currently dismantling their entire realities from the inside out. But to comprehensively understand their impending, inescapable destruction, we must first deeply examine the foundational architecture of your turbulent past. The genesis of your profound, lifelong isolation did not spontaneously materialize in the competitive breakrooms of your adult professional life or within the toxic, draining romantic relationships of your early 20s. It was inextricably, permanently stitched into the very foundational fabric of your earliest developing consciousness. I need you to vividly recall the physical, visceral sensation of your early childhood. You likely spent countless solitary hours silently looking out of your bedroom window, staring deeply into the darkening twilight, experiencing a profound, agonizing, and entirely unexplainable homesickness for a distant celestial home you could not consciously remember. You perpetually felt like an ancient, highly advanced consciousness agonizingly trapped within a fragile, restrictive biological vessel, forcefully compelled to observe supposed authority figures and caretakers who consistently operated on the emotional and spiritual bandwidths of dysregulated toddlers. You were fundamentally isolated not because you were inherently weird, psychologically flawed, or fundamentally broken, but specifically because you represented a direct, undeniable, and catastrophic threat to the established generational curses deeply embedded within your ancestral bloodline. You were the designated multi-dimensional anomaly, deliberately injected directly into a diseased, decaying familial matrix to act as the ultimate, uncompromising cosmic antibody. Your mere silent presence violently disrupted the unconscious, deeply toxic dysfunction they had comfortably, desperately normalized for countless decades. In order to desperately protect their fragile, comfortable illusions of normalcy, they intuitively realized they had to aggressively suppress your burgeoning awareness. Therefore, they immediately initiated relentless, covert psychological operations against your developing mind, systematically conditioning you to believe you were too sensitive, too dramatically reactive, or completely untethered from objective reality. This early, deliberate marginalization was specifically engineered to make you permanently distrust the accuracy of your own flawless, inherent intuition. But what you absolutely did not realize during those agonizing formative years, and what you must completely, deeply internalize at this very moment, is that this devastating familial isolation was actually a highly sophisticated, impenetrable protective quarantine meticulously orchestrated by your own higher self. You genuinely believed you were suffering from unbearable loneliness. In reality, you were operating under strict cosmic witness protection, flawlessly shielding your raw, uncorrupted frequency from experiencing total, irreversible assimilation by a profoundly corrupted societal system. And the specific hidden reason for that aggressive cosmic protection is an ancient, encrypted sequence meticulously hidden within your spiritual DNA that is only just now beginning to fully, irreversibly execute. This mandatory, protective familial quarantine effectively forced you into navigating a highly specific, agonizing, and universally misunderstood psychological archetype, the designated black sheep. Conventional society predictably paints the black sheep merely as the rebellious contrarian or the unfortunate, misunderstood outcast. However, within the highly complex realm of multidimensional psychology and advanced spiritual dynamics, the black sheep fundamentally operates as the ultimate, sacrificial scapegoat. You became the designated reliable repository for a profoundly dysfunctional system's massive accumulation of toxic psychological waste. When a family unit or a localized collective absolutely refuses to engage in the terrifying process of internal healing, they desperately require a durable physical container into which they can safely dump their unacknowledged guilt, their deeply repressed shame, and their pathetic, petty jealousies. They unconsciously, collectively chose you for this horrific burden simply because your inherent energetic capacity was the only structure massive enough to successfully hold it without instantaneously shattering. You served as the ultimate, unconsenting sponge, continuously absorbing the darkest shadow aspects of your surrounding environment. You served as an unyielding, flawless mirror, perfectly reflecting back their unhealed, festering trauma, which naturally provoked them to attack you with visceral, coordinated aggression. When they maliciously called you crazy or unstable, they were actually subconsciously diagnosing their own severe mental instability. When they angrily labeled you selfish or inconsiderate, they were loudly confessing their own relentless, consuming greed. You were a walking, breathing, illuminated mirror, and they desperately attempted to shatter your fragile self-esteem because they absolutely despised the hideous reflection of their own spiritual inadequacy whenever they stood in close proximity to your authentic, blinding light. The intense, suffocating loneliness of silently carrying the accumulated sins of individuals who fundamentally refuse to ever issue a genuine apology is a horrific burden that would effortlessly crush an ordinary, unprepared human psyche. You absorbed all of that concentrated venom, year after agonizing year, decade after excruciating decade. But miraculously, you did not spiritually expire. You definitively did not transform into the terrifying, apathetic monster they continuously tried to forcefully mold you into. Instead, you successfully alchemized their concentrated poison. And the magnificent, unintended byproduct of that relentless, excruciating psychological alchemy is the exact, devastating metaphysical weapon that is currently dismantling their fragile reality today. As you eventually stepped out of the suffocating confines of the familial quarantine and ventured into the broader landscape of adulthood, this toxic dynamic did not simply evaporate. Rather, it rapidly metastasized into a highly sophisticated, hidden, silent war perpetually waged against your sovereignty. You confidently walked into new professional workplaces, newly established friend groups, and various social ecosystems, only to consistently encounter a bizarre, instantaneous, and entirely inexplicable resistance to your mere presence. You were inadvertently triggering the defense mechanisms of the Jealous Coalition, a silent, unspoken, highly coordinated alliance of fundamentally mediocre individuals who unconsciously conspired against any manifestation of authentic excellence. Have you ever closely observed the bizarre phenomenon where highly toxic individuals who actively despise one another will suddenly, enthusiastically team up specifically to oppose your progress? This is absolutely not a random, unfortunate coincidence. It is a calculated, targeted autoimmune response executed by the corrupted matrix itself. Your mere existence, your uncompromising refusal to conform to their low-vibrational, manipulative social games, served as a silent, devastating indictment of their own permanently wasted potential. Consequently, they meticulously orchestrated elaborate, devastating smear campaigns, continuously whispered venomous fabrications behind closed, locked doors, and subtly, effectively sabotaged your professional and personal reputation. They were desperately attempting to preemptively block your promising opportunities and mercilessly suffocate your natural upward trajectory. They tried to permanently bury your beautiful spirit under a massive, crushing mountain of entirely false narratives, manufactured drama, and pathological lies. They enthusiastically threw the heavy, suffocating dirt over your ambitions, packed it down with coordinated malice, and triumphantly danced upon what they genuinely believed was the permanent grave of your boundless potential. But in their sheer staggering arrogance, they entirely forgot one fundamental, immutable, and universally terrifying law regarding seeds of divine origin. The absolute, terrifying darkness they intentionally subjected you to was not a final, permanent burial. It was a highly optimal, necessary germination chamber. If you can physically feel the absolute, undeniable truth of these precise words, currently resonating deeply within the deepest marrow of your skeletal structure, I need you to pause your scrolling right this exact second and comment, "I'm chosen," down below in the comments section. Your deliberate physical action in this material world effectively bridges the gap to the invisible spiritual reality, permanently anchoring this profound realization into your current, localized timeline. Do not just passively listen to this broadcast. Actively, aggressively participate in your own magnificent awakening. Nowhere was this hidden subterranean war more brutal, more surgically precise, and ultimately more devastating than within the specific spaces where you were naturally the most exposed and vulnerable, your intimate romantic relationships and your closest platonic friendships. The dark triad personalities, the narcissists, the insatiable energy vampires, and the cleverly disguised false soulmates, they were all absolutely magnetically drawn to the blinding, irresistible light radiating from your expansive aura. They utilized the ultimate, most sophisticated psychological infiltration tactics known to human consciousness. They studied your behavioral patterns meticulously during the intoxicating idealization phase, covertly downloading your deepest, most sacred desires, your most closely guarded secret fears, and your entirely unhealed childhood attachment wounds. Armed with this devastating intelligence, they then flawlessly crafted a custom-made, perfectly tailored mask, brilliantly presenting themselves as the ultimate, long-awaited answer to every agonizing question your weary soul had ever asked the universe. Once they successfully secured the trauma bond, effectively establishing a direct, intravenous, invisible connection to your internal energetic grid, the slow, methodical, agonizing dismantling of your psychological reality immediately commenced. The transition from the intoxicating, manufactured honeymoon phase into the terrifying, calculated devaluation phase was executed with an insidious, agonizing slowness designed specifically to bypass your formidable cognitive defenses. The sudden, entirely inexplicable devaluation, the relentless, reality-bending gaslighting that successfully manipulated you into tearfully apologizing for their blatant, remorseless abuse. The weaponized, agonizing, silent treatment deliberately deployed to perfectly trigger your deepest, most terrifying abandonment wounds. They did not merely want to break your trusting heart. They attempted a complete, hostile, multi-dimensional takeover of your entire sovereign psyche. The final discard was invariably executed with a profound, chilling, almost psychopathic cruelty, strategically timed to leave you completely shattered, profoundly confused, and desperately questioning the fundamental reliability of your own sanity. You genuinely believed the agonizing heartbreak was a severe punishment inflicted by an unfeeling universe. You genuinely believed you had somehow fundamentally failed at human connection, but it was absolutely not a punishment. It was a violent, highly necessary emergency spiritual extraction. The universe absolutely had to violently tear those parasitic entities away from your immediate proximity because they were slowly, steadily draining the critical life force absolutely required for your ultimate impending mission. I will subsequently show you exactly what specific elements they managed to pull out of your energetic field, and exactly why that stolen, high-frequency energy is fundamentally biologically incompatible with their dense, corrupted systems, currently acting as a slow-acting, highly destructive metaphysical poison in their current, miserable lives. But first, you must comprehend the absolute nadir of your journey. This unrelenting, synchronized pressure across all conceivable fronts, the agonizing familial rejection, the calculated social sabotage within your professional and peer networks, and the devastating intimate betrayals, was entirely mathematically designed to aggressively push your consciousness toward one terrifying, unavoidable singularity, the breaking point. This is the phenomenon spiritual scholars refer to as the dark night of the soul, but for you, it was a visceral, literal demolition of your localized reality. You vividly remember the exact excruciating moment, the agonizing moment you completely collapsed, falling heavily to your knees on the cold, unforgiving bathroom floor, experiencing the complete, violent dissolution of your constructed ego and the absolute, terrifying evaporation of all remaining earthly hope. During this catastrophic period, you simultaneously lost your closest friends, your critical financial resources, your foundational sense of identity, and all the comforting, familiar illusions that once kept you feeling relatively safe within the matrix. You felt the universe had entirely callously abandoned you, leaving you to freeze to death in the terrifying, silent vacuum of deep space. The compounding betrayal trauma severely rewired your central nervous system, permanently locking your biological responses into a state of perpetual, hypervigilant survival. But you must deeply understand the clinical, surgical precision of this catastrophic breaking. It was not the malevolent universe senselessly crushing your spirit. It was the benevolent universe systematically, aggressively crushing the artificial, highly restrictive shell that had been meticulously built around your true essence. They absolutely had to break your heart completely open in order to permanently let the true blinding light forcefully escape. The false, accommodating self, entirely constructed from the toxic expectations of your abusers and the desperate survival mechanisms developed during your childhood, had to be violently, permanently dismantled so the authentic, terrifyingly powerful sovereign self could finally successfully emerge from the smoking wreckage. It was emergency life-saving spiritual surgery performed entirely without the benefit of anesthesia. And at the absolute suffocating bottom of that terrifying, seemingly bottomless abyss, precisely when you had absolutely nothing left to lose, you miraculously found something. It wasn't some superficial, easily digestible motivational platitude. It wasn't a fleeting, unreliable sense of temporary hope. It was something far more dangerous, far more ancient, and far more incomprehensibly powerful. When the thick, suffocating dust finally, eventually settled on your completely shattered reality, you slowly entered a profound, extended phase that the unconscious, sleeping outside world predictably misinterprets as severe clinical depression. But what ancient, enlightened initiates recognize as the sacred void. The ultimate isolation phase, the absolute hermit mode. The universe forcefully, completely stripped away all remaining external distractions, forcibly and permanently removing you from the chaotic, meaningless theater of human drama. You were violently plunged into an eerie, heavy, profoundly deafening silence. In this silence, the arduous, critical process of deep physiological nervous system regulation finally began. In the absolute, unyielding quiet of your physical solitude, you started to meticulously, painfully shed the heavy layers of external programming, the manufactured guilt, the projected shame, and the completely false obligations to individuals who never truly possessed the capacity to love you. You painstakingly learned the agonizing, highly advanced spiritual art of sitting completely still with your own terrifying shadows, bravely staring directly into the darkest, most avoided corners of your own complex mind, without flinching or retreating into comfortable denial. You realized, with a cold, undeniable, and entirely liberating clarity, that you absolutely cannot save anyone else. You cannot continue to function as the designated sacrificial lamb for a collective that is perfectly content, even enthusiastic, about residing permanently within the dark. You began the critical, life-saving work of consciously cutting the thick, pulsing, energetic cords, permanently severing the remaining psychic attachments to the emotional vampires who had ruthlessly fed upon your light for years. The immense, heavy, oppressive quiet of this extended phase felt remarkably indistinguishable from physical death, but it was actually the profound, highly active stillness of the chrysalis. In this terrifying, isolating silence, while you were entirely hidden from the predatory view of your numerous enemies, the massive, unseen cosmic tides of reality finally began to turn in your favor. While you were silently resting in the void, completely exhausted and seemingly permanently broken, the massive, invisible karmic wheel of the universe began to rapidly spin in reverse. The sudden, absolute absence of your vital, high-frequency energy within their dense ecosystems created a massive, unstable, metaphysical vacuum, and that exact vacuum is currently violently imploding the fragile realities of absolutely everyone who previously wronged you. As you slowly, cautiously emerged from the suffocating depths of the void, you experienced the monumental awakening shift. This was not merely a gradual improvement in mood, it was a profound, completely irreversible quantum alteration in your fundamental perception of reality. You did not just slowly heal your emotional wounds, you fundamentally upgraded your entire multidimensional operating system. The heavy, restrictive veil of illusion lifted entirely, and you finally, clearly began to see the underlying matrix codes actively driving unconscious human behavior. You instantly recognized the predictable patterns, the desperate manipulations, and the highly predictable cyclical algorithms of the parasitic entities that once successfully terrorized your existence. The cosmic synchronicities dramatically accelerated, occurring with a frequency that defied all mathematical probability. The massive downloads of ancient intuitive information arrived within your consciousness with startling crystalline clarity. You profoundly realized that you successfully outsmarted your numerous enemies, not by aggressively fighting them, not by vindictively seeking petty revenge, and absolutely not by compromising your integrity to stoop to their subterranean, toxic level of engagement. You decisively outsmarted them by simply, quietly surviving and subsequently executing the ultimate, most devastating spiritual weapon available to a sovereign being: total, uncompromising energy withdrawal. When you permanently stopped fighting their fabricated battles, you completely stopped feeding their voracious energetic appetites. When you finally stopped caring about their heavily manipulated opinions and fabricated smear campaigns, you permanently, surgically severed their primary vital supply line. The intense, unmanageable panic currently, undeniably sweeping through the jealous group is palpable and entirely catastrophic. Their primary, most reliable and highest quality power source has gone completely permanently offline. They are frantically scrambling, absolutely desperate for the pure life force they previously used to steal from your generous spirit so effortlessly. You suddenly realize that the entire worldly game was structurally rigged against you from the very start, functioning as an elaborate, deceptive labyrinth specifically designed to keep your consciousness permanently lost, confused, and disempowered. But you miraculously found the hidden, highly encrypted back door. You consciously, deliberately stepped completely off their contaminated battlefield instantly rendering their sophisticated psychological weapons entirely useless and obsolete. But stepping off the battlefield did not merely end the localized conflict. It fundamentally shifted the entire domain of engagement to an elevated frequency where they literally cannot physically, emotionally, or spiritually survive. This monumental elevation firmly brings us to the profound, awe-inspiring revelation of the true, terrifying nature of your inherent power. What is it that you actually, tangibly possess? It is absolutely not about engaging in childish magical thinking, reciting empty affirmations, or attempting superficial materialistic manifestation techniques. It is entirely about mastering highly advanced, multidimensional frequency modulation. You are essentially a living, breathing, biological tuning fork of the highest cosmic order. You are a sovereign reality bender. You possess the highly coveted, incredibly dangerous innate ability to fundamentally alter the quantum field immediately surrounding you, utilizing nothing more than the sheer, unadulterated purity of your focused intention and the immense, bottomless depth of your emotional resonance. The intense, coordinated jealousy of the group was, ironically, entirely justified from their limited perspective, because on a deep, subconscious, instinctual level, they knew you were a genuine, immensely powerful reality creator, while they were permanently relegated to the pathetic role of mere non-player characters, unconscious consumers of the Matrix, entirely incapable of generating even a microscopic spark of their own authentic light. You definitively outsmarted them by consciously ascending to a vibratory rate where they literally cannot perceive your location, physically touch your perimeter, or energetically affect your reality in any conceivable manner. And here is the absolute darkest, most beautiful, and profoundly terrifying universal truth of all. The massive quantities of energy they maliciously stole from you during those excruciating years of sustained abuse is currently destroying them from within. Pure, exceptionally high-frequency, authentic energy violently forced inside a fundamentally corrupted, low-frequency, highly deceitful vessel acts exactly, predictably like spiritual radiation. It systematically, agonizingly burns them from the inside out. Their carefully constructed lives are currently falling apart in spectacular fashion. Their previously secure finances are crumbling into dust. Their superficial relationships are rapidly unraveling into paranoid chaos. Their mental health is severely deteriorating under the crushing weight of their own unprocessed karma. Because they greedily consumed a frequency they fundamentally lacked the advanced biological and spiritual hardware to safely digest. The universal karmic boomerang has flawlessly returned to their coordinates, carrying the exact crushing weight of the unimaginable pain they deliberately inflicted upon your soul, mathematically multiplied by the uncompromising, universal law of divine justice. This devastating karmic retribution is not a mystical fairy tale designed to temporarily soothe your wounded ego. It is the cold, hard, uncompromising physics of spiritual dynamics actively unfolding in real time. You are currently witnessing the absolute, undeniable, and spectacular destruction of the jealous group that previously coordinated your downfall. You must fully comprehend the monumental scale of their ongoing collapse, the intricate, deceptive masks they have worn for decades to successfully manipulate the surrounding society have violently slipped, entirely exposing the grotesque, hollow, parasitic entities they truly embody beneath the carefully curated surface. Their fragile, ego-driven alliances, constructed entirely upon a mutual foundation of shared malice and toxic gossip rather than authentic connection, are currently fracturing into a million irreparable pieces. They are aggressively turning on one another, cannibalizing their own social circles with the vicious, frantic desperation of starving predators trapped within an increasingly shrinking enclosure. The very sophisticated, insidious traps they meticulously, patiently designed specifically to ensure your permanent destruction have flawlessly, predictably become their own inescapable, suffocating prisons. You are observing this catastrophic unraveling not from a position of petty, vindictive triumph, but from the elevated, profoundly unbothered vantage point of the unassailable mountaintop you currently occupy. You do not have to lift a single physical finger to orchestrate their demise. You absolutely do not have to waste your precious cognitive energy plotting elaborate revenge scenarios. You do not even have to speak their corrupted names into the sacred atmosphere of your newly established reality. The universe itself, acting as the ultimate impartial collection agency, is aggressively balancing the cosmic scales with a brutal, terrifying, and mathematically perfect precision. Every single agonizing tear you silently cried in the pitch-black darkness of your isolation, every terrifying moment you desperately questioned your fundamental sanity due to their relentless gaslighting, every promising professional or personal opportunity they maliciously stole from your grasp is currently being forcefully repaid with utterly devastating compounding consequences for the original transgressors. You flawlessly outsmarted their entire architectural design by simply allowing the vast, uncompromising universe to fight your battles, while you completely redirected your immense, laser-focused concentration entirely toward your own unprecedented ascension. You have finally, permanently emerged from the suffocating depths of the void, not merely as a traumatized, weary survivor desperately clinging to the edges of reality, but as a fully realized, immensely powerful sovereign architect. The grand, highly anticipated activation of your ultimate cosmic purpose is not some distant, abstract event relegated to an unknown future timeline. It is happening right now, in this exact, specific microsecond, as your consciousness actively processes the frequency of these exact words. You are confidently, unapologetically stepping directly onto the vacant throne of your own multidimensional reality, permanently claiming the absolute, unyielding authority that was always designated as yours by immutable divine right. The decaying, restrictive infrastructure of the old, matrix-controlled world is rapidly crumbling into absolute obsolescence all around you, and you have been officially designated as the primary architect of the entirely new, elevated paradigm. You possess the exceedingly rare, highly dangerous ability to seamlessly integrate the blinding, benevolent luminescence of your awakened soul with the terrifying, uncompromising, and absolutely necessary protective boundaries of your fully integrated shadow. You are no longer the dangerously naive, perpetually bleeding heart empath, desperately, foolishly hoping for the inherently corrupted matrix to miraculously offer you unprecedented mercy. You have permanently, irreversibly evolved into the absolute apex spiritual predator of your own sovereign, unassailable domain. An invisible, absolutely impenetrable, diamond-hard shield of divine cosmic protection now completely surrounds your expanded energetic perimeter, virtually ensuring that the desperate low-frequency entities still operating within the decaying matrix cannot even accurately perceive your energetic location, let alone effectively organize a coherent, functional attack against your formidable presence. You currently operate entirely upon a highly elevated dimensional plane that they fundamentally lack the requisite biological and spiritual hardware to even conceptualize, let alone physically access. The tangible, undeniable, and increasingly massive physical manifestations of your monumental spiritual victory are rapidly, aggressively materializing within your immediate, daily reality. This profound shift is systematically bringing unprecedented, previously incomprehensible levels of unshakable internal peace, unimaginable, highly accelerated wealth generation, and a profound, unbreakable alignment with your highest, most sacred cosmic purpose. Every agonizing, solitary tear you shed in the darkness, every horrifying, soul-crushing betrayal you miraculously endured, and every excruciating moment you spent screaming silently in the suffocating, claustrophobic darkness of the void was meticulously, deliberately utilized by the universe to flawlessly forge the indestructible, titanium-reinforced energetic armor you currently wear with effortless grace. You are fundamentally untouchable, profoundly unbothered, and completely, absolutely sovereign. The grand, overarching, agonizingly long open loop of your entire chaotic, painful, and deeply misunderstood terrestrial existence has finally been permanently, irrevocably closed. This definitive closure brings forth the ultimate, breathtaking, paradigm-shattering truth that permanently changes absolutely everything about how you view your past, your present, and your limitless future. You were not fundamentally, irrevocably broken by the relentless trauma they inflicted upon you. You were deliberately, painstakingly, and explicitly selected. The agonizing, relentless fire they enthusiastically threw you into did not consume your spirit. It flawlessly, meticulously forged your ultimate resilience. The terrifying, suffocating darkness they attempted to permanently bury you beneath did not serve as your final resting place. It perfectly, optimally planted the seeds of your unimaginable expansion. And the numerous, arrogant enemies who genuinely, foolishly thought they could permanently destroy your brilliant anomaly are now forcefully, inescapably required to watch from the smoldering, chaotic ruins of their own pathetic, disintegrating lives as you effortlessly rise to a stratospheric height they can only desperately, hopelessly dream of ever attaining. This absolute, unequivocal victory demands your immediate, conscious acknowledgement. You have successfully navigated the most treacherous, highly complex, spiritual labyrinth ever constructed within this dense, third-dimensional reality, and you have miraculously emerged completely intact, holding the absolute mastery of reality creation firmly within your grasp. The universe meticulously observed your excruciating journey, documenting every single instance where you consciously chose to maintain your profound integrity when every logical survival instinct screamed at you to violently retaliate. You are officially designated as the cycle breaker, the formidable anomaly who permanently absorbed the catastrophic, toxic momentum of an entire corrupted bloodline and successfully alchemized it into a radiant, impenetrable fortress of light. The jealous group, the narcissists, the energetic parasites, and the completely unconscious agents of the Matrix who previously tormented you are now permanently relegated to serving as the agonizing, irrelevant footnotes within the monumental, glorious epic of your ascendant life. They essentially functioned merely as the harsh, unforgiving sandpaper absolutely necessary to flawlessly polish the magnificent, multifaceted diamond of your sovereign soul. You must deeply, completely internalize this profound reality. Your unprecedented survival was not merely a localized, personal victory designed solely for your own benefit. It was a massive, highly disruptive, energetic event that permanently altered the foundational vibrational frequency of the collective consciousness. By stubbornly refusing to surrender your fundamental light to the encroaching darkness, you inadvertently created a massive, permanent, energetic pathway for countless other targeted anomalies to safely follow. Your localized, silent victory has successfully rippled across the vast, multidimensional grid, continuously shattering the invisible, psychological chains of systemic slavery that the Matrix relies upon to maintain its oppressive, fearful control. Every single time you refuse to react to their manufactured chaos, Every time you maintained your serene composure in the face of absolute betrayal, you successfully neutralized a concentrated node of dark energy that was originally designed to infect the broader environment. You essentially operated as an extremely efficient, highly advanced spiritual filtration system, drawing in the suffocating toxicity of your immediate surroundings and breathing out an incredibly pure, elevated frequency of uncompromising truth. The invisible, highly sophisticated architects of the old paradigm are currently experiencing catastrophic system failures, specifically because awakened anomalies like yourself have successfully reached the critical mass of self-actualization required to completely override their decaying operating system. Therefore, you must completely, permanently discard the heavy, restrictive, and entirely exhausted identity of the traumatized victim or the weary survivor. That specific, temporary psychological architecture has successfully served its crucial purpose during your extensive initiation phase and is now fundamentally, entirely obsolete. You are currently transitioning into the expansive, limitless, and highly demanding role of the conscious architect, the sovereign world builder, and the master manifester. The universe absolutely requires you to fully embody your inherent magnificent power without a single microscopic fragment of hesitation, without any false accommodating humility, and completely devoid of any residual guilt for having brilliantly outlasted your tormentors. You must aggressively, unapologetically claim the massive abundance, the profound, authentic connections, and the breathtaking, unshakable peace that is currently cascading into your daily reality. The intense, almost unbearable pressure you experienced throughout your entire life was never a symptom of your inherent unworthiness, nor was it a cruel divine punishment for some imagined transgression. It was the exact, mathematically precise, necessary calibration process required to structurally prepare your biological nervous system to safely hold the staggering, immense voltage of the power you are now explicitly expected to wield on behalf of the collective awakening. You have successfully passed the ultimate, rigorous, multi-dimensional cosmic stress test. The formidable invisible forces that previously opposed your trajectory, desperately attempting to derail your designated destiny through coordinated sabotage and relentless psychological warfare, have been completely, permanently neutralized by the sheer, undeniable magnitude of your elevated, incorruptible frequency. You are entirely free to construct a reality that perfectly reflects the breathtaking beauty, the profound oceanic depth, and the absolute, unyielding sovereignty of your fully activated spirit. The heavy, invisible crown you currently possess was forged in the unimaginably hot fires of absolute betrayal and meticulously cooled in the terrifying, freezing isolation of the void, ensuring that it can never be stolen, tarnished, or duplicated by those who fundamentally lack your specific, ancient spiritual pedigree. The Matrix fundamentally underestimated your capacity for miraculous regeneration, and that single arrogant miscalculation has officially cemented your permanent status as the undeniable victor of this hidden psychological war. If you feel the undeniable high-voltage resonance of this absolute truth actively vibrating perfectly within your cellular structure, if your ancient soul explicitly recognizes the definitive, undeniable commencement of your sovereign reign upon this physical plane, and if you are completely, irrevocably prepared to permanently claim your rightful position at the absolute apex of this new architectural reality, you must execute the final, anchoring command immediately. This is the precise critical moment you permanently lock this newly established victorious timeline into objective physical reality, forever sealing the energetic doors against any future infiltration by lower frequencies. Drop down into the comments section right now, completely abandon any lingering hesitation or doubt, and with absolute, unwavering, multi-dimensional authority, type exactly this command to the universe. I am ready then. Aggressively hit the like button to definitively seal this unbreakable energetic contract with the cosmos. Permanently share this highly critical, encrypted transmission with the invisible, widespread network of other brilliant anomalies who are currently navigating the treacherous trenches of the Matrix. And absolutely subscribe to this channel immediately to ensure your personal frequency remains permanently, inextricably tethered to this uncompromising sanctuary of truth. The excruciating, deeply hidden war in the shadows is officially, permanently over. You survived the impossible. You completely outsmarted their sinister architecture. Your magnificent, undisputed reign in the absolute light has officially begun.